the big dream is to play for Manchester United one day for me, and I've always had that dream throughout my life. So until that's accomplished, I'll never think I've made it. And even if I play for them once, it doesn't mean I've made it. I need to play for them 500 times, 300 times, whatever it is. Um, and then you can turn around and say at the end of your career, I made it. I did what I set out to do, and I won trophies with the club I always wanted to win them with, and this, that, and the other.
Welcome back, welcome back. Not something I really wanted to talk about, but I just want to talk about the goalkeeping situation at Manchester United. I don't know. I just feel like it's maybe time for a little bit of a change. Um, I love David De Gea. Don't get me wrong. I am one of David De Gea's biggest fans. I even got David De Gea tattooed on my leg. However, his constant, continuous mistakes have to be addressed, in my opinion. It's been going on for too long and not really sort of punishment's not the right word I'm looking for, but sort of maybe dealing with the consequences of making mistakes. Listen, any goalkeeper can make a mistake, man, but it's a really high profile mistakes David De Gea is making in games, and it's starting to cost United a little bit. Now, I get the argument over the years, David De Gea has saved us countless points and countless numbers of occasions. There's a reason why he won 3 Player of the Year awards, because he was that damn good. He, for me, was the best goalkeeper in the world up until the World Cup in Russia in 2018. And even prior to the World Cup in Russia in 2018, that season that he had for United was probably his best season ever. When he had the little ponytail, little slip back ponytail and that, and he was flying. And then ever since the World Cup in 2018, where he had a bit of a shocker, a bit of a nightmare, I don't think he's ever seemed to have recovered properly from that nightmare that he had in the World Cup. Although this season he has, with the emergence of Dean Henderson, um, he has proved himself a little bit again. He's had that little kick up the backside. He knows there's a goalkeeper there now wants that number one shirt off him. However, it's still not absolutely 100% faultless. He's still not commanding his area. He's still not making. He's just still making basic goalkeeping errors for me. That Calvert-Lewin one right at the end, defensively as a team was shocking, absolutely shocking against Everton. But the goalkeeper has to be clearing that. Has to be getting his body in the way of that shot. Like I said, a goalkeeper has an advantage of using their hands as well, the ability to use their hands. And previously, if that was Peter Schmeichel or Van der Sar, they're going through Calvert-Lewin to get the ball. They're putting their bodies on the line to stop that shot. And De Gea, for me, sort of wimped his way out of that. He chickened out of that, for me. You know what I mean? If that was, especially Peter Schmeichel, if that was Schmeichel's going through the goddamn player to get the ball. He is getting the ball, but taking the player as well. He is absolutely going through that player, smashing him. That's my ball. I'm laying claim to it. You ain't scoring past me. And the same with Edwin Van der Sar. Van der Sar was, he ain't getting beaten from there. And the fact that David De Gea is held to these high standards because he's a very, very good goalkeeper. And he's up there with the likes of Van der Sar and Schmeichel. Shot stopping wise, he's probably the best goalkeeper I've ever seen. But his overall goalkeeping is starting to suffer. It's starting to, it's holding us back a little bit. I feel, he's not a very commanding person, and the one thing you need, for, especially from a defender's point of view, is you need a commanding goalkeeper. that will lay claim to everything, that will lay claim to the ball, that will come out for crosses, that'll punch it, catch it, go through players to make it theirs. The problem with David De Gea is he doesn't do that for me, and which is a bit of a shame because he's a top guy. I love David De Gea, as I said, but the flip side to this argument is I think we've got a young goalkeeper there that needs his chance to prove himself now, and I think he's obviously. I believe he's going to start against West Ham. It's an FA Cup game, and after that, I think we've got West Brom. I believe, off the top of my head, in the league. I played for both games. I'll put Dean Henderson for both those games. Take David De Gea out the firing line. Give him a bit of a rest. Give him a bit of a breather, because I think that's what he needs. I do think he needs it just to reassess his focus, if anything. It's all right. All goalkeepers making mistakes, like Alisson for Liverpool. One of the best goalkeepers in the world, made some mistakes at City. It happens to the best of them. It happens to every goalkeeper. But the fact that David De Gea keeps making basic errors over the last few seasons, I think it's starting to cost us a little bit in that back. The back line, as we know, isn't the greatest at times. It's not the fastest. It switches off sometimes. And you need a goalkeeper in there to be barking at them. And I don't get that from De Gea. I think De Gea is a bit more of a reactionary keeper, where he's very, very sharp at reactions and that. His reactionary shot stopping is unreal. But his commanding of his goal area, I thought he was getting there a few years ago. And as I said, the 2018 World Cup's just knocked the stuffing out of him. And I think Dean Henderson needs to run of games. It's all right saying, I get people say Dean Henderson made a mistake at Sheffield United. And he's also made mistakes when he played for Sheffield United. But the good thing about Dean Henderson is he wants to prove their mistakes wrong. He wants to put their mistakes behind him, go again. And that's what he did for Sheffield United when he made a couple of mistakes in the Premier League last season. And I think we need to give him a bit of an opportunity here. It's all right playing him for a cup game here and a cup game there, then dropping him and bringing back De Gea, and De Gea's your number one first choice. The problem with it as a goalkeeper, it's very, very hard to come in when you're cold, if you know what I mean. You lack match rhythm, you lack match sharpness, you lack match understanding with your teammates, especially in the back four or your back line, depending on how many defenders you're playing. But he needs a consistent run of games, I feel, and I think you could get that. The only spanner in the works is that after West Brom, you got Real Sociedad in the UEFA Europa League. Could he play in the away leg, the first leg, and then we have De Gea coming back in for the second leg? I don't know. I'm not sure, but I do think Dino needs a run of games to prove himself. Because otherwise, how can he prove himself if he's going to get that opportunity? Players have made mistakes. Players sometimes rightfully drop because of the mistakes they make. Just for a couple of games, for 2 or 3 games, let them reassess themselves and then go again. Obviously, you don't want to destroy David De Gea's confidence at the same time, but I feel he's a big enough character to realise that he'd be taken out the firing line, taken out the team, because his performance has not been good enough. That Everton game, 2 of the goals, he played a hand in. 2 of the goals was his fault, in a way. The first being where he's pushed it out. There's a basic goalkeeping error. He's pushed it out into the path of the attacker. That's basic goalkeeping. That is schoolboy goalkeeping error. That you're told from a very young age as a keeper, strong wrist, palm it to the side if you can. Never palm it out in front of you because they're Russian attackers. You're asking for trouble, man, and that's just a basic mistake. And obviously for the Calvert-Lewin goal, as I said, he should have just gone through Calvert-Lewin, put his body on the line, blocked the shot. But he's sort of chicking his way out of it. And that's another problem with De Gea. He seems to favour saving with his feet. It's very, very unorthodox. Seems to favour saving with his feet more than he does with his body or his hands. If he's chucking his whole body at that, getting at the balls, trying to smother the ball, it's a bigger angle that he's closing down. It's less of an angle for the striker to stop the ball. And if you're just going in with your feet, you're leaving a massive gap either side of you for the attacking player to put the ball in. I don't know, man. As I said, I'm not trying to dig David out. I love David, but I do generally think it's time for Dean Henderson to get a shot at this number one spot, and then it's up to Dean to prove himself over the course of a handful of games. There's no point playing him for the West Ham game. Say Dino has a top performance in West Ham, and then you drop him because for the next league game it's West Brom, and put David De Gea back in. I'd like to see it, even if it's just for 2 games in a row, even if it's just for the West Ham and the West Brom game. I'd like to see David De Gea come out, be taken out the fire line, put Dean in there, see how Dean copes. West Ham's going to be a big test though, because they play very well. All right, fair enough, they're not going to have Jesse Lingard in their ranks because of the cup tied, and obviously he's on loan from United as well. But I'd like to see Dean have a chance to play against these teams where they're going to come out, and I can't see West Ham sitting back against us anyway. They're going to have to come out. It's a knockout cup game. Going to have to win it anyway, and see how he performs in that pressure situation. It's all right playing him in the earlier rounds of the cup, and then, and then dropping him for De Gea again. I do think that Dean Henderson, I've always had this view on Dean Henderson, that I think he is the number one heir to David De Gea's throne. He is the natural replacement of David De Gea. Should David decide to move on, or should the club decide to move on, or whatever else, the replacement's there. I don't think we need to go out and spend big mega money on a goalkeeper. But my main worry for Dean Henderson is not getting any younger. Starting to rifle through the ages now where he has to be playing week in, week out. He can't just be a number 2 goalkeeper. And I don't think he's going to be happy as a number 2 goalkeeper. You probably get away with this for possibly next season. You might get away with this sort of Dean being happy to bide his time a little bit, possibly the next season. But the season after that, definitely not. I think there will have to be a decision made on who's going to be first choice goalkeeper, because I can't see long term you keeping De Gea and Henderson both happy, as number 1 or number 2s. Something has to be sorted in that respect. All I'm asking really for is Dean Henderson to have a fair crack at it, a fair crack at the whip. Let him have a constant run of games. Whether it be 3, 4, 5 matches, take De Gea out the firing line, and then assess from there again. I think it's only fair. I think it's only fair to Dean. I think it's only fair to David as well, because that break could do David De Gea some good. I think take him out the firing line, and I think it'll up his performances again. Performance levels. I think, to be fair to De Gea, I think his performance levels have upped since Dean Henderson's come in. I like Sergio Romero. He's another top quality keeper, but I think Sergio Romero is far too comfortable being number 2. But I think Dean Henderson wants his number 1 spot, and it's up to Dean Henderson to prove it. But he needs the chances. It's all right putting him in 1 game, don't play him for the next 10, 15 games. He's no good as a goalkeeper. And that's the only problem with being a goalkeeper, is only ever 1 spot. Only ever one of you can play. But I do think he needs a fair crack at the whip. And that fair crack at the whip has to be when De Gea's made mistakes. I'm sure if De Gea was an outfield player and he kept making them sort of mistakes, you'd probably see a little bit of a rotation and somebody else come in for a couple of games, for at least a couple of games. I think that's what Dean Henderson needs. And I think it'll do both keepers some good. I think David De Gea is strong enough to take it. I think David De Gea is man enough to take it as well. I think there's a good camaraderie between the United goalkeepers, but I just hope Ollie does what he thinks is best for the club. It's all right for me saying, it's time to give Dino a chance, obviously the decision's down to Ollie, but I do feel that it's now time to put Dean Henderson in, take David out the firing line for a little bit, put Dino in, and just say, Dino, it's your chance to shine. You've got to now prove yourself now, mate. You know, we're going to give you this X amount of block of games. You've got to prove yourself. Go out there and just do your best and enjoy your football. You know, I really did that. I think Ferguson was brave enough in the past as well for taking De Gea out the firing line when we had Anders Lindegaard and he put Anders Lindegaard in. But I think it's just now time, man, I think, just to give somebody else a little bit of an opportunity. Someone that's been patient, someone that's come back to the club and has bided his time. Because really, he's a first-choice Manchester United goalkeeper. Well, not first-choice Manchester United goalkeeper yet, but he's a first-choice Premier League goalkeeper, Dean Henderson. And he proved that at Sheffield United last season. And I know he's probably desperate to be part of that England Euro 2021 squad as well, as one of the goalkeepers, because he deserves it. And I, hand on heart, do believe he'll be the next Manchester United undisputed number one and England's undisputed number one in the future years to come. So I babble on long enough about it. So hopefully, we shall see anyway. Hopefully, all I just want to see is the lad have a fair crack of the whip. Just let me know what you think about it in the old comments below, and like, share, follow, subscribe, and all that mumbo jumbo. And I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.